All right, we are back in the TRU-U studio for the 88th time today, and today we have Mr. Josh Spitzen on with us. Josh
Lucky
leads,
eights.
yes, you're the lucky eights, Josh. Josh leads one of the most productive real estate organizations in the United States. He's a CEO of both Keller Williams, Beverly Hills, and Hollywood Hills, where he oversees 1,000 agents, 20 plus staff members, and 4 total offices. Under his leadership, Keller Williams Beverly Hills became the #1 office in California for both productivity and profitability, establishing the benchmark for operational excellence and scalable brokerage performance. Over the past 11 plus years, Josh has launched, scaled, and optimized multiple Keller Williams offices across Southern California, consistently building high accountability culture, rooted disciplined systems, and measurable results. He is also the co-founder of Forward One Estates, a modern boutique platform built for elite agents seeking innovation and infrastructure and performance at the highest level. Josh is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Pomona College, where he did mathematics economics. He's a former captain and quarterback of the Seichens. You might need to correct me
Sage
on that.
hands. You did well. Yep.
Seichens football team,
Yep.
and began his career in investment banking at Patricof and Co. in New York before moving into executive leadership at Equinox. His leadership philosophy is simple: discipline compounds, system wins, and culture drives scale. Today, he's a proud father and devoted husband to his wife, Lola. His primary source of strength and drive is his family. Having a solid structure and crystal clear mentality, Josh gets it done. As Josh tells his son, Max, aka the dude, every day before leaving for work: disciplined and consistent, unstoppable together. I love the bio, Josh. I love it.
Awesome. Well done, Ethan. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I am also I've got my KW Beverly Hills hat on, so we are
Yep.
repping the brokerage today, and Josh is my CEO, and Josh, you're a leader. I love the content that you create, and I think it's so helpful for agents in particular, but a lot of our listeners across many variations of careers and things that they are up to. Like, I just think it's practical for anyone listening what you do and your leadership. Let's start with just diving in. I mean, what I found interesting is your philosophy around leadership is simple: discipline compounds, system wins, and culture drives skill. Let's start with that. Let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. So look, my passion, my purpose in life is leadership. And I'll elaborate on that. Becoming a better leader, because I think leaders obviously have significant influence that they've earned and they can make such a positive impact on others. So that is the foundation. How do I make the greatest impact I can make by first and foremost leading by example? And then within that, how do I help build other leaders? Because again, that leaders pay it forward. They create exponential opportunity and exponential growth. And everyone is a leader if they choose to be a leader, right? If they choose to make a concerted effort to positively impact others, that's leadership. Leadership is all relative. You're a leader when you're a real estate agent, leading your clients. You're a leader when you're a
Yeah.
parent, leading your family. The leadership comes in many different forms and fashions. And I think foundational in all of that is a real purpose and willingness and want and desire to help others and give
Mm-hmm.
value. Value comes in infinite forms. And then how do I always say leadership is giving first. And the beauty of it is you typically get far more back over time than you could possibly ever give. And I always come back to leadership is the ultimate form of leverage, because when you're seen as a leader, people gravitate toward you. They want to be part of your world, and they bring you
Yeah.
opportunities. They bring you other things, and ultimately at the end of the day, great relationships, because it always comes back to relationships. So the foundation of opportunity, achievement, and happiness. Need to be mutually beneficial if they're going to be sustainable. And I'm super, conscientious of that. And within that, how do you always create alignment with others? How do you create relationships that are mutually beneficial and there is clear alignment and mutual expectations? And then it creates accountability, it creates connectivity, it creates cohesion,
Yeah.
and people thrive together.
Where does alignment begin? Do you think alignment begins? I'm listening to everything you're saying, and you also mentioned culture, and to me, I think that's where leaders are attracted to, like really like discovering the leadership within them and wanting to be a part of something. Culture speaks to me, so I'm wondering how that stands out for you, and then the just alignment, if you can double click into that.
Yeah, so culture is really like, what are the values that a culture, you know, believes in and lives and breathes and exemplifies, right? So it starts with like, what are the values that those people that want to participate in a particular culture or environment want to be about? And I'm really clear on my values, so I
Mm-hmm.
as a leader, leaders take initiative. They're not waiting for someone else to fake to make the first move or to say the first thing. They take initiative and do what they believe is right. So I'm very clear on standing up for like authenticity, humility, consistency, diversity, innovation, not being afraid to make mistakes, acknowledgement, right? Making
Mm,
people feel seen, heard, and valued, those that want to participate and that share those same values. So it really comes down to first and foremost values, and the leader needs to exemplify and lead by example to live and breathe those values, and including personal responsibility and humility. As I said before, no one's perfect, certainly me included.
mm-hmm.
So when I make a mistake and I'm not doing what I say I'm going to do, which I try to be super conscientious of not doing that, but when I do, then I own it. I don't deflect. I don't put it on someone else. I own it. I make a mistake. I try to learn from the mistake, not duplicate the mistake, and move
Yeah.
forward more effectively and intelligently than ever. And that's part of just accountability. Those that are willing to be held accountable are going to achieve at a higher level. And again, one of the central themes to all of it is play the long game. Like none of this happens overnight. And human nature is to want instant gratification, including me.
Yeah.
But the reality is I have enough discipline and forethought to know that
Yeah.
greatness and achievement don't happen overnight. And you've got to be
No.
disciplined, consistent, and understand that what you do and say now have
Yeah.
implications on what happens in the future,
Oh,
both with
I was
respect
just
to, yeah,
talking. I love that. I was just talking
yeah,
with Farah, your assistant, right before you jumped on about real estate and just about the jet fuel, I know you've heard that, like where you get the plane off the ground and your discipline, your actions need to be like really at a high level and not and being willing to delay your gratification and just be in the process of it. And like there's this compound effect that begins to happen, and then once you're soaring, like it's almost like it's built in. It's like you're now in a rhythm, but it's like there's that instant, you know I'm imagining, like, I'll go back to your football days. Like, you got to put the weight up, you got to get under it, and you don't know how to lift it, you don't know what to do with it, but you're like, I am going to do whatever it takes to get it going and trust the systems and the processes, and then the wins will come. And then when you see
yep.
the wins,
You
it's
gotta,
like,
you gotta,
okay,
you gotta do, you gotta do the
yeah,
reps. The reps become habit over time, and then things become easier, more automated, and then you continue to raise the bar. And that's essential. And again, that's not natural. It's learned, it's practiced. And
yeah.
I've practiced that for decades, and I'm always striving to make it better. But I definitely consider myself to be one of the more disciplined, consistent people. And I think I, exemplify that in my daily routine and actions.
Are there oh, I know you do. Are there like when I was in network marketing, I got my start in business and like networking through that industry at a young age, and they taught us, there's this analogy they used of filling up a glass jar with elements, and there's big rocks, little rocks, sand, pebbles, water, and in order to fill it up without it overflowing, you must put in the big rocks, then the little rocks, then the pebbles and the sand and the water. Or else if you go in any other order, it's going to be disarray, it's going to be all over. So I'm wondering for you, is there like, and we can speak to real estate, or if there's general disciplines that you think would be um big rocks, but do you first, do you resonate with that? And then is there like any big rocks that you see as like just a general discipline, or and you can speak to real estate too, and
Yeah, the
yeah.
big rocks are number one. The biggest rock, candidly, is energy. So, right, because without energy, nothing happens. So
Oh, that's
energy
good.
starts with like health and wellness. And so I'm very, very big on exercise and fitness because it
Yeah.
gives, it gives me energy, and I think it gives most people energy. Because if you're not healthy, none of it matters. Right. So I think
Yeah.
that's foundational,
It's
number
your number
one.
one
So
wealth, they say, right?
yes. Yep. Yep. So that's number one. And then beyond that, like, what is your purpose? Are you clear in what you're on the planet to do? And when you have that level of clarity, and then you create a plan, whatever that is, there's no judgment in that, that's unique to every individual, then it allows you to be a lot more decisive and take a lot more action. So many people aren't clear on their purpose, they don't have a plan, and then they vacillate and they wonder what to do and what not to do, and they sit in limbo. And I'm really clear on my purpose, which is to become the best leader I can, and specifically in the real estate space, and obviously it permeates beyond that. And that allows me to be super decisive. I have a plan and I'm in motion, all the time. Right.
Yeah.
And it allows me to be a lot more
Mm.
decisive because every day we're confronted with hundreds of decisions, conscientiously
Yeah.
and unconscientiously. And when you're clear in your purpose and you have a plan, then you can be a lot more decisive. Does this fit into it? Does this fit into my plan? Does this fit into my values and my purpose? Because I'm really
Mm-hmm.
clear on that. So it allows
Yeah.
me to be that much more decisive and take a lot more action. You compound that over time, it creates a whole different trajectory of growth.
There's a couple things like, so I want to go
Yep.
back to the big rocks thing, but I also just want to ask because you highlighted something. So when you are making, like, 'cause there's hundreds of decisions every day, are you conscious of your purpose, and are you able to slow down enough to where you can spot it and like and course correct as you go? Or do
Oh,
you like, how
look,
does that
no
a
one's
developed muscle? Is that developed? Like, what is
Yeah, it
that?
is definitely developed. And look, no one's perfectly self-aware. So let's be clear. I'm also a
Yeah,
huge believer in collaboration and being around the right people that are going to be willing to give you honest, constructive, genuine feedback, not just tell you
for
what they
sure.
think you want to hear, but tell you the truth. That
For
is
sure.
so independent thinking and always remaining open-minded is absolutely critical to everything I do, and making sure I
Yeah.
surround myself with those kinds of people. But to answer your question, I think I'm pretty darn self-aware, and I'm clear in what I'm trying to accomplish. So it does allow me to be a lot more decisive, and just say, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, this is right, this
Yeah.
is not so right, or I need to look into this. And this is a conversation I need to have because it's not in alignment with what I'm trying to achieve with someone else. And I'm just
Yeah.
very direct and honest. I think also just being direct is gold. You just get a
Yeah.
lot more done. So many people are afraid to be direct
Yeah.
because they're afraid of hurting other people, and I get that. It's
Well,
it's often well-intentioned. However,
and
you can
and
be
then is
really well-intentioned,
pleasing,
and yeah,
yeah,
you can be
is
very
pleasing or
well-intentioned.
looking good more important than your purpose if we're not going to
Yep,
be direct? If we're going to lose out on our directness, then is that because I'm subconsciously making something else more important, you
yep.
know?
Agreed. And so if you're clear in what you're doing, and and you feel it's coming from a good place, and you're trying to get things accomplished that are win-win, it's not that hard to be direct. It's actually quite easy. So
Yeah.
that's one of my superpowers. I just cut to the chase and there's no BS, which gets a
Yeah.
lot more done for everyone. I just always am like, I want an answer, a yes or a no, so I can
Yeah.
move on to the next step or the next
Yeah.
person. That's
So,
and so many people I don't think live their lives that way. I watch it all the time.
majority don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's majority
Which
don't.
comes
And
back to Ethan, sort of like, you've also got to know your value,
yeah.
and you've got to have value.
Yeah.
You gotta do the reps, have knowledge, have skill in whatever you choose to do, and really feel like you've got real value. And then it allows you to be willing to like walk away from things. And then again, that's why people gravitate toward you, because they believe you're of value.
Right.
Value doesn't happen overnight. You've got to, again, figure out what that is, and I'm a huge believer, identify your unique superpowers and your natural strengths and passions, and double down on them. Too many people are trying to do way too many things, and they're not focused enough on what is going to move the needle and what they're going to do with consistency to create
Yeah.
real value for others. You get paid based on the value you provide in anything
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah. And people got to buy into it.
They've got to
Yeah,
trust it. That's for sure.
right.
They've got to trust. Yep.
So what I'm hearing you say, the decision side of things is a developed muscle, and that you were able to, like, let's say, like starting out, like people that maybe a little bit fresh, to this, and maybe making a bit of a like autopilot, non grounded decisions in life. It could be, let's enroll accountability people. Let's enroll people for accountability. Let's enroll a sphere of influence, mentors. Let's like slow down. Let's practice consciously slowing down. Yeah.
So I'm a
Um,
big believer. Like, it's interesting. I read something this morning about leadership. Someone I respect. I don't know him that well, but I watch him a little bit from a distance. And he was talked about like he always was like speed, speed, speed. And now I'm learning to slow down. This is what he said.
Slow
And
down to speed up.
and that's true. Everything's context, everything's balance, everything's also to large degree unique to the person and where they are in the evolution of their life and their business. Like, I think one of my superpowers is my speed, because
Mm,
I do believe that being decisive and being fast allows you to get a lot more done, particularly over time. Now, there are certain things, big decisions that are really important that have major consequences both on myself and others, that I do slow down and consult many other people before I make those decisions. But I think when you have enough clarity on your purpose and you're clear on your values, then you don't have to
hmm.
slow down as much to get more done. So it's all about the context of the decision, but
Well,
I'm going to stand by. I'm a believer in speed, candidly, for at least for me,
but you've earned that though too. That's
Right.
what comes up for me is you've
Yeah.
earned the speed because you've developed your being and you're very aligned, like you have an internal alignment to your being. You are already like fine-tuned. So it's like your decisiveness, you have like there's like this development already there for you. Like I feel like some people, like let's say a new agent, for example, it's like I think that it could be valuable to practice slowing down, or at least even like slowing down doesn't need to be like I'm gonna make bad like slow or like I'm gonna just like not make decisions or be inactive. That's not what we mean by slowing down. Slowing down means let me pause, take a beat, let me consult, let me do a little bit of digging into this, and then I'm gonna execute. So it's like a systematic way of slowing down.
Yeah. And to
Um,
your point, it comes down to the evolution of the particular person and where they are. You've got to gain enough experience and enough data to
mm,
earn the right to be fast, so to speak.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
That's probably the best way to put it in whatever context that is, right? So, in a lot of the things in my life, I think I've done that. I've done a lot. It doesn't mean I'm anything but perfect, and I'm always learning. Are you kidding me? That comes back to being open minded. But I have enough. I've practiced enough. I've done enough of the reps with respect to my values, my purpose. I invest a ton of time in that to really feel confident in what I represent and who I want to be around.
I love
But
that.
yes, some of that is developed. That wasn't the way it was when I was 30 years old, by the way. That
Right.
that takes time and
Yeah.
experience.
Right. I want to go back to the big rocks and the jar. Because there's a lot of you've actually said all three of these words, and this is what we call because I've been a coach for a while, and I will ground people into what we call be, do, have. So it's like the being and anchoring into that. What you described as your big rocks to me, I mean, health and your values is like, okay, so there's this being, like there's this the big rocks, the most important disciplines are developing my being or being like anchored into that. Like for me, it's spirituality. It's certainly energy as well. Like being fit. It's community. My circle, my men's work, my coach, my therapist. So it's like those are going to be built in. So I have a structure that I can then pour the pebbles and the other stuff on top of. So like I'm hearing you say like, yeah, my being are my big rocks, getting clear on my purpose. Mine is helping others discover what they're capable of. I'm very clear on that. And that's in all areas. So that's real estate. What are you capable of? Like how can I help you? It's coaching. It's everything. And that helps me also be decisive as well when I'm out there in the world. It's just revisit the purpose quick. Is this in alignment with my purpose? So, but yeah. So I just wonder if you could speak to that. Do you see the bead you have? Like, are the little pebbles, the sand, the things over there? Is that more of the disciplines on top of all of that?
Yeah, I
Or
think again,
yeah.
coming back to the big rocks are the energy and the purpose slash values for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like being clear on those things are powerful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I think the smaller things are the daily actions that help you bring the purpose to reality, right? You
Yeah.
can have the greatest purpose in the world, but you got to again have a plan. And then it's all about how effective you are at execution, right? And
Right.
how consistent and effective you are doing the right things, right? Because we all know that 80-20 principle, and it's probably 90-10, you know. Certain actions give you a much greater return on your time and effort than others. And
Yeah.
identifying them and being really disciplined and focused on staying in those zones. So, for me, in my career, and in real estate, it's prospecting, it's lead generation, right? For me as a leader, it's quote unquote recruiting. I don't even like the word, right? But it's influencing others to join my world,
Yeah.
and showing them that it's in their best interest to do so, because otherwise it's not a sustainable relationship. And I'm not interested in that. I want to work
Right.
with people that feel like they're receiving value. I never want anyone to feel stuck and like beholden to being in an environment that they don't choose to be in. Life is a series of decisions and choices, right? You don't have to do anything in my mind, at least in
Yeah.
the United States. You choose to do what you do, right? Which comes back to personal responsibility. So the smaller things are the actions, the skills that you build to fulfill that purpose, being a good speaker, being a good writer, I do a lot of coaching myself, like being a good listener,
Yeah.
right? And that's how you connect, because you can have all the value in the world, it's supply and demand. You could have all the supply of great value in whatever you do. If there's not a demand for it, it doesn't matter. So the
Yeah.
demand comes from building enough trust that people are willing to listen to what you have and what you do. Because if they don't
Right.
trust you, they're not likely going to work with you. And that
Yeah.
comes back again, consistency, authenticity. People trust consistency, right? Human nature is to not want volatility, to not want uncertainty. So when you know what you're getting with a person, then you're
Yeah.
far more likely to want to be in business or relationship with them than
Oh
someone
yeah.
who's volatile and you don't know what to
Yeah.
expect. So I come
Yeah.
back to like the primary thing is consistency on so many different levels, both personally
Yeah.
to achieve at a high level, the compounding actions, and then the consistency that people
Oh,
see
for
who you are
sure.
and that your words and your actions are
Yeah.
congruent. They're in alignment. If they feel like you're saying one thing and doing something else, they're not going to trust that, understandably.
Totally. Yeah, to me, it's like, I mean, you're physically in shape because you're consistent in the gym. You build a business because you're consistently out there prospecting or following up or doing
And
like
creating value.
whatever, creating value. Yeah. Gary's big red book, the millionaire real estate agent, it talks about always having the prospecting, the pipeline opened up, right? And that being one of the major disciplines that just doesn't stop. And you mentioned 80-20, and it's like, and I'm speaking for myself, and maybe some entrepreneurs or other agents or people like that listening to this could benefit from this. I'm curious, like, oh, this seems like just even this season I'm entering in now, and I'll speak just as being an agent, is my 20 evolves. Like I'm noticed there's always like that built in, like for me, it's like prospecting never stops. Fortune's in the follow-up, people even getting you on this podcast, right? So it's like there's going to be consistency with that. But there's like, I'm noticing, oh, now leadership is part of my important focus as I'm developed. There's more listings, there's more opportunity. How do I attract people into my own little culture within your culture where I can then develop others and build a team? So it's like, okay, now like my 20 evolved, because my 20 when I started was just freaking go out there and get it done and go out and build, like learn and work. And it's like and that's my general way of saying it. There's some specifics there, but now it's like, okay, there's momentum. So paying
Yeah,
attention to that 20, I think like that's just I'm just spitballing here, what's coming
yeah,
up for
no,
me.
absolutely. It will like it will evolve if you're growing, which hopefully is the case. So first of all, you got to build enough track record and credibility to then earn the right to lead others. It doesn't start that way, right? So that's like, to
Yeah.
your point, as an agent, you got to do the business first to then be in a position to attract others to build a team, right? So many people prematurely leap ahead. Why is someone going to work with you if you're not seen as a vehicle for their success, right? So like when I started,
Yes.
I relentlessly was, and now like a lot of the leads, a lot of the prospects come to me through the network that I've built, through the advocates that I've influenced, that become my greatest form of marketing, right? Because they're testimonials, they're advocates that are out there marketing, quote unquote, and lead generating on my behalf, or other people's, right? That's one of the great things coming back to leadership, right? Because leaders build advocates, and advocates, basically work on behalf of them without even necessarily realizing it, right?
Right.
So yes, things evolve, and even coming back to like speed and slow down, I spend every Saturday working on the business. So I definitely agree. And a common theme for real estate agents is you've got to work not only in the business, but on the business, meaning on the systems,
Yeah.
on the strategy, on the purpose and direction that will evolve, and make
Yeah.
sure you're, so that's super, because I'm so purposeful and moving so fast during the week that I do take time to slow down, both at night when I walk home from work. Okay. And I
Yeah.
process what I do. And number one, so that's important to process and reflect and follow up and course adjust, because that's critical. The
Yeah.
unexpected is always to be expected. So if you're not willing to adapt and evolve, you're going to get left behind real fast. So it is
Right.
important to not only work in the business in action, but also regularly work on the business. And I think that's an 80-20-ish,
Yeah.
90-10 sort of thing, because things will evolve and your actions will change over time. There's no
Right.
doubt about it.
Right. There's
But
these
at the end of the day,
signals.
like in any business, lead generation and prospecting, it's not unique to real estate, are foundational. So
You
I
have
always come
to.
back to who's ever having the most conversations is doing the most business. And that's something that is just extremely habitual to me in every way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. And I'm always like, how do I create mutual benefit with this person if I believe our values are
Yeah.
aligned?
Yeah, totally. 25 a day every day has just been and no matter what. That's not including, the like, oh, I met all these people at an open house. It's like, no, that's outreach. So it's just like a simple discipline. It's like that's not but once it's there, it's like putting your pants on, you know? It's like now this has become part of my fabric of my daily living. Like I am this, right?
Yeah.
So um
And that's again the
I hear
power of consistency, because consistency drives habits. And once it becomes a habit, you don't have to put nearly as much effort into doing it. It becomes automated. That there's so much power in
totally.
that. It's crazy.
It starts to flow
Yep.
because it's just like the airplane thing because it's not and it's firing new neurons. It's you're stretching, you're getting used to rejection or all the things, but it's once you're in the rhythm of it, it begins to flow. That's who you now are, right? And
Correct.
and yeah,
And it takes a lot of, you said it earlier, it takes a lot of inertia and energy to get started, which
yeah,
is often the hardest part, and then create some accountability and some systems to keep going. And then it does become easier over time. It becomes habit, and it creates, as you said, momentum. There's
yeah.
so much power in momentum.
Oh
But
God.
momentum comes from the initial inertia, and then the willingness and the discipline to stay consistent to ultimately create the momentum.
I was listening to a podcast. It was a while ago, but it stuck with me. And it's like my two biggest fears. One is my first number one fear is God. My second is losing momentum. And it
Wow.
was
Yep.
just interesting because we can get prideful. We can get, like there's like people, and I see it happen all the time, where people now begin to be, entitled or take their eye off the ball or they got this new fabricated this story about who they are now and then it's like they drift away from their values or away from the where they're going and all of a sudden Big Mo leaves them and it's like I equate it to like it's like so that your girl leaves you for another man, she's gonna leave you real quick if you don't treat her with care and love and you don't like honor that.
Be humble, or be humbled. You choose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer the best of the best can always become better. And that comes back to humility. And this world changes and evolves on an accelerated basis. And if you're not willing to adapt and evolve and continuously learn, you will get blown away and you will get left behind. I can assure you, I don't care who you are. So I'm crystal
100%.
clear on that. And another thing I always say is never forget where you came from and who helped you get there, which also has
Yeah.
helped you stay grounded and humble, even when you so these are things that I'm very that are I have an underdog mentality that will never change no matter how hard, because I've earned everything I've done, and
Yeah.
I've had a lot of adversity and challenges, and I'm grateful for every one of them, right? The challenge
Yeah.
is nothing but the opportunity. If there were no challenges and there were no problems, there'd be no opportunity to create value. So I think so many
Yeah.
people lose sight of that too. So whenever I'm in a challenging time or things become, there's adversity, which happens all the time. And even for me, it can feel overwhelming for the moment. I take a big pause, I reflect, and I'm like, how can I make this serve me and other people? And there's always an
Yeah.
answer to that. It may not be an easy answer, but how can this serve me? The most
Right.
adverse circumstances and things, how can this serve me? Ask yourself that question. And it's amazing
Right.
how powerful that is. And again, that all this stuff becomes habit over time.
Right.
So that these are things
It's
that are really
it's like
important,
it
that are life lessons.
100%. It's like what I'm hearing you say is like the overwhelm, or like whenever something comes up in life, like how do I get to be proactive and move out of a grounded, secure place versus a reactive, insecure, ungrounded place?
Yep.
Like that's what
Spot.
I'm hearing.
Reaction is all about emotion. And emotion can be
Yeah.
great, but emotion can also take you off course for sure. So having enough discipline to not allow emotion to drive your responses, but allow thoughtful data and real clear information,
Yeah.
including getting feedback from other people to inform a intelligent, thoughtful response, not a reaction.
Right. Yeah,
And
like
that's discipline.
being regulated, like regulating your nervous system, man. That keeps coming up in this, like I've been through quite a bit the last couple years, and one thing I've learned is, and especially toning into my, like, I think my superpower also is what you're speaking of, energy. I could go, I'm like a freaking, I could go. If I'm passionate about something, we're all, we're all the way in. But it's with that, it's harnessing it and noticing when does my excitability um have counter effects, like that, like the costs associated with it, and then becoming conscious of that. And there's times where I get to hone, like consciously direct my excitement or slow down and notice, like, hey, where's this going to end up creating an adverse outcome. And definitely the opposite side of when something is robbing my joy or threatening my security, in the way that we internalize these things is like my existence, like threatening my
Yep.
own existence, my own like life. But being able to regulate myself in the highs and the lows, and channeling the energy, but also becoming conscious enough of like, oh, okay, I'm having this reaction to this thing. I'm giving this my power away to this thing or human or whatever. Let me address that, right?
Yep. That's spot. I mean, again, people who quote unquote you give your power away only when you choose to. When people want to
Hmm.
get a rise from you, they want to whatever, that's in your hands. You give energy to what you choose to give energy to and to whom you give to, and that takes a lot of discipline to understand that and have that level of self-awareness to give energy and things to the things that matter, not to the things that are distractions, right? So again, you control your destiny through your decisions and choices, including who you choose to capture your attention.
Yeah.
So I think that's a major, major lesson that I have to catch myself in periodically. Believe me, again, I'm anything but perfect, but I have
Yeah.
a high degree of self-awareness, and I have people around me that share those same beliefs, who I'm interacting with on a daily basis, that help keep one another accountable. It's
Yeah.
critical. I mean, I wear it on my wrist. Environment matters, and that really means first and foremost the people you choose to surround yourself with has a
Right.
gigantic bearing on your happiness, your success, all of that. And anyone who thinks otherwise is, in my opinion,
Totally.
ignorant. Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Like the humility piece, like putting ourselves into like a what's coming up is like you said, like the best can get better. And to me it's yeah, it's purpose driven, but it's just like the heart of who we get to be as humans, like service of humility of like just like I love your underdog mentality. um just being willing to like just be I talked to I'm gonna slow down. I talked to a person I really admire that I look up to the other day and was asking questions about him, and he was struggling with something, and he didn't want to bring that up to me right away, and like he didn't really want to go there, but then we are like talking through it, and we're like, you don't graduate from being human. There's no like how often can I intentionally humble myself and look around at what I can learn and and be like that childlike mentality to get out there and learn and keep, developing.
Vulnerability is strength, and so many people lose sight of that. And I always say asking for help is a sign of strength. We all need help at many different times. I don't care who you are. And the willingness
Yeah.
to ask for it and the willingness to be vulnerable is the only way you're going to ultimately grow and become the best version of yourself. We all have insecurities. There's no exception in the world to that. So being okay with that and allowing yourself to be exposed is the best way to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
So
I love
these
it,
are
brother.
things that,
That's
again, these things don't happen overnight. They're an evolution, but it takes practice. If you're willing, to be around the right people and willing to read the right things and practice through your actions every day, that's how you become the best version of yourself. Because that's the ultimate goal for all of us. I hope and think, and that's unique to
right.
the individual. But be clear on what you want. So many people play small. They're
Yeah.
afraid to go after what they really want because they're afraid, I think, of like failure, embarrassment of whatever. There's only failure like if you stop trying. Like I'd much rather step up
Yeah.
to the plate and strike out than never step up at all. I never want to have regrets in life. I've done a lot of
Yeah.
things. I've made a lot of mistakes. In hindsight, I would do a lot of things differently, but I have no regrets. It's what got me to where I
Oh
am, and
my
I'm happy to
gosh.
be there. And I have so much more to achieve, and
Oh
that's the
my
beauty of it.
gosh.
You got to enjoy the journey, the process, because the destination,
Totally.
may come or may not come. But even when it does come and you achieve something you want, then what? Then it's like almost feels hollow. So you got to enjoy the process and the journey more than it is the destination. Have a destination so you have something to aspire to, but know that that will continue to change and evolve. And the process and the journey,
Yeah.
and again, who you become along the way is the
Yeah.
most important thing.
Yeah. And owning your worth comes up for that's just that just spoke to me when I was listening to you. I'm like, oh yeah, it's owning your worth. Like it's interesting, and I'm learning this now, real time, that oh wow, what I'm doing here at this scale, just repeated at this scale because my worth now is up here. That's it's really like mirroring what I've already been doing. It's just now I'm gonna do it at a higher caliber with those that are up here and put myself in that arena because I own my worth and I belong there. It's the same thing.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
like getting to that place, like that like acceptance or breaking through that barrier that we all have of our development, that like, oh, I belong here. But like it really occurs to me as like it can happen as quick as you want it to happen. It's just choose, like you said, make that choice.
There are limitless possibilities with the will to take action, and I say the wherewithal, meaning the resources, the environment, the right people. And I'm for like we all have infinite potential. That's my core philosophy in everything in life. And our goal, and my goal at least, is to tap into that as much as I can, right? And there's always going to be room for more. And it doesn't mean I'm not satisfied with where I am, and I guess the best way is I'm happy with where I am, and to some degree I'm not satisfied because that's what continues to drive me forward, you know? And
Yeah.
one thing I'd be remiss not to like a core value of mine is gratitude.
Yeah,
So like I'm super grateful for all the opportunities and first and foremost all the people, family, friends, colleagues that I have in my world. And I tried to do my best to not take that for granted. And that is rocket fuel for me. Gratitude.
absolutely.
One of the things again I say
Absolutely.
to my son is attitude and gratitude. Like
Yeah.
those are just so fundamental and they're
It's
choices.
huge, huge, huge. That energy, that being, people feel that. They gravitate towards that. They feel loved in that. Like it is such a the
It's the
gratitude is
number one
simple.
thing.
It is the
I
number one thing. I have to go
For me,
number
I
one
will
on it.
not, I will not, I do not choose to surround myself with people who are not grateful. That is
Yeah.
if you're grateful and you're willing to take action, you're gold to me.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
mean like I'm the barometer, but that's a choice I make that
You
I
have to
chose,
be.
and there's no judgment. And if you're not, but that's just not who I'm going to choose to surround myself with.
Right. Well, it's a taking versus giving, and people feel the taking. It's so simple. It's so
Yep.
simple. Like an attitude of inclusiveness, of like interconnection, of love, of like that's it's but just having a heart of gratitude, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more, brother. We flew by. I'm like grabbing onto Josh's light speed little coattails here on
Yeah,
this
I love it, man.
podcast, brother. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's land the plane since we used a rocket fuel. We're soaring. We get to land it. So
sure.
um we we end this with just a general message. If anything's on your heart or that's coming up for you, you know, we have listeners. I'm sure there's agents, but there's certainly entrepreneurs, creatives. Like anything you want to leave our audience with as we wrap up today.
Well, I'd say number one, take initiative. Like, you know, be coachable, be proactive. Don't wait for other people to make the first move. Figure out what's important to you in life and in business and go after it in a way that leads with value. So, like, if you're a newer agent and you want to be a great agent, find the great agents and figure out what you can do for them that can be of value because we all have that opportunity and ask them how you can earn the right to their time to get in front of them, to do something for them, because there's a myriad of ways you can do that. It starts with asking. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't ask, you don't receive. So the right people will receive that well when you ask and you come from contribution and curiosity. So, like, I'm just a big believer wherever you are in life, take initiative, find the people you want to model and emulate, don't reinvent the wheel, and ask them how you can earn the right to their time. And how can you create value for them such that they're willing to give back to you? So that's a big lesson for me. I've always gone after it
Yeah.
and I'm never going to stop doing that. And then I guess
Yeah.
I also say like, this world, there's so much like there's so much, going on with wars and this and that. And I think too many people rush to judgment and don't seek, I hate to say it, to understand. I have strong opinions on a lot of things, but I always remain open-minded and willing to listen to the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
And when you really embrace that philosophy, it's amazing how much more you learn and how much more you connect with other people. Find the common links, even if
Yeah.
on the surface there seems like there's just no commonality and we're completely on different quote unquote sides. Life is
Yeah.
it's we're way too polarized and it doesn't need to be that way. And that's why if you can lead by example, define the
Yeah.
commonality and seek to understand, obviously if there's
Yeah.
certain things that people are doing and saying that are just completely, in your mind wrong, but most of the time it's not that black and white.
Right.
So
Right.
I just think
Curiosity.
that
Yeah.
curiosity, I think
Yeah.
is too many people have a fixed opinion and they just look to find evidence to confirm that opinion as opposed to remaining open-minded to say, hey, if there's some new information or data that informs me to change that opinion, I'm willing to do so. I think that is
Right.
so
That's
important.
one of Covey's 7 habits. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Yeah,
Agreed.
that's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for
Ethan, you're a
joining
rock star,
us.
man. You made it very,
Yeah.
very easy and quick, and I enjoy it.
All
And then I
right.
love your energy and your gratitude, which is evident and
Let's keep
clear as
going.
day.
Let's
Yeah,
keep
and
going. I
I'm
just want to
excited to
see my
watch
name
you.
up on your TV screen in the lobby a little more. That's all.
That's it, man. Just keep inspiring me, and
Yeah.
selfishly, I'm grateful for that.
Amen. Thank you so much, brother. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll keep growing, baby.
Make it
Thanks,
happen,
Josh.
man. Be well, brother.
Bye.